into our function process. And so we can understand that this is how we have to move forward in our lives. Because I think people change so much mechanical and not so much on the other function process, if that makes sense.
It absolutely does. It absolutely does. And that's why we get these I've been here before feelings.
Yes.
That's why we get these things, and I'm not surprised by that. I can see. Well, I should hush. You're running this show.
No, don't hush. Don't hush. Because this is about, to me, you know, when I do Bridges Live, and we are live now. We are live at Bridges Live, and I'm Dr. Paul. I'm hosting Bridges Live. I'm talking with Dr. Iris Cooper. But I like to have conversations about, and that's how we move forward as a community. It's not so much ask and answer, because I think that dilutes our intentional energy. I just do, because if things aren't organic, then things are directed, and then it comes with, why am I directing it this way if I don't have an emotional content or feeling towards my own personal direction? It's like, if I have to literally put on a smile to go into a meeting, maybe I shouldn't be going into that meeting. Because if I have to fake it, then that means I'm not intentional. And if I'm not intentional, I can't understand how the outcome could ever be positive.
Yep. I totally agree with that. And I think that Dr. Iris Cooper is a culmination of my sister, who died when she was 18. She was a prodigy. She was graduating from college at 18. And was in a car accident and killed immediately. And of course, it had a major impact on my family. My mother was smart too. My mother used to do calculus problems for fun. And she never finished college. But so that kind of spirit carried me through school, that I got to pick up what she left here and carry it forward. And so I've always kept that spirit in mind, that, you know, I'm not just Iris, the last child of Alonzo and Verna Cooper. I am Roberta Corinne Cooper. I'm Alonzo Conrad Cooper, who technically my brother probably could have, you know, been building cars. I mean, he did build cars. He was just technical. But he was also a person that rejected barriers, rejected parameters, just let me be who I am. Not understanding that you're going to have to deal with some barriers as you go through your pathway in life. And I understood that. And I decided I was going to be creative in how I went through those barriers. But I certainly agree with everything that you've said about life. It's all connected.
And you know what hurts, you know, and my mother, and I like to say this because my mother was my hero, how she taught things. And I have a great affinity for my mother and my dad for different reasons. And I do carry them with me with everything I do. I think that's why people say, well, Dr. P, what do you do? I say, I'm a human activist. So it doesn't matter what these are, what I have done and what I've studied and where I've gone. I'm an activist about moving humanity forward. Plain and simple. I use the tools I've acquired to do exactly that. If I'm a great ditch digger, then I'm going to help dig ditches because that's what I've acquired. It doesn't matter how I acquired it or how long I'm going to do what helps humanity to move forward. If that doesn't make sense to people, that scratches my head. And with you being in business, so my mother used to say, if you're going to be if you're going to grow into be a tree, make sure you drop seed so other people can feed. So be the fruitful tree to drop seed so other people can grow or other people can eat. And that has been a staple of everything I've ever done. I'm going to grow so when I learn, we learn, and then I'm going to drop seed so other people can eat and grow themselves.
I love that.
I want to get right into, because being a business person, and you would think I planned it this way. The Fed just raised the interest rate.
Lord have mercy, yeah.
Exactly, and
Lord have mercy.
so what people with all my shows is information, understanding, and action. Try to explain to people on a slow end what it means for the community, specifically the Black community, because it always hurts them first when the interest rates raises.
Well, let's say that the rich people get richer and the poor people get poorer.
That's right.
And I know that firsthand, being I was in banking for 25 years, and I saw the impact of it on my customers, but I also saw how it benefited my business customers. This world is always going to have that basic framework of the rich get richer and the poor get poorer until something miraculous happens. It's almost like they coexist to support each other. And it's unfortunate because we're the ones carrying the heavy loads. We're the ones that are standing in the lines waiting on handouts and giveaways. And here's the big deal, Dr. P. We also are the ones that don't have an understanding of what's really going on.
See, that's what that what makes us so inadequate. Dr. Cooper, you when I try to tell people, do you understand what's really going on? They're like, well, this. I said, no, that's what is happening. Do you understand what's going on? And it almost goes back to that Marvin Gaye song, "What's going on? What's going on?" But tell people what is going on.
When interest rates are raised, that means things cost more.
Correct.
And if you have limited resources, you're going to spend more of your dollar on things that you normally buy because they know that you're going to buy them regardless. Go to the grocery store. Look for some chicken wings. See what price they are today compared to last year. Same chickens, same feathers, same farmers, but the interest rate signals to the big agricultural, what is that, Purdue?
Right.
Chickens.
Right.
Yeah. They watch Wall Street like Paul Volcker. They are investors. And so understand that the current economic climate is intentional to help the rich get richer and provide more resources for them to be comfortable and for us to be the and I say us as in African Americans and poorer people of color, people that are on the ground, carrying the loads so that it all works for them.
Would you consider that we are in an economic slavery?
I'd hate to go that level. Wow. Words matter.
Yep.
I would consider that that's the direction that we could be going in. I remember the recession, and I even wrote a poem about it. I was so devastated by it, and I really hope that we're going to and see this is different now. We got some crazy stuff going on in Washington, D.C. that has never quite been this way before. We have rich people fighting with rich people now. And so I don't know how that plays out. I really don't. I haven't seen this kind of animosity at that level. So I'm watching every day, and I'm trying not to take it personally. My son, for example, during the COVID, he said, "Mom, turn off the TV. Turn it off." it's affecting you personally, and I was miserable. But I think that we've just got to really pay attention because there's mixed signals and they're not positive on many levels right now.
So, and I did the same thing, and I do a lot of emotional education because of how it affects your body, but what you're thinking and what you're seeing through the visual cortex, through all those different sensory perception, and how it affects your body. Whether you want to or not, it's affecting you. How do you get rid of it? How you learn how to release it out of your body, that takes a skill set and a practice. When it comes to economics, the Fed says it raises its thing so banks can lend more money. But here's the problem. Banks don't lend money to African Americans at the same rate as they lend it to anybody else. So it doesn't help the black community or the minority community of how it lends money to them. So again, this is how it affects the community. So what should the economically misunderstand community do in this interest hike? This is the highest interest hike in over 20 plus years. I mean, that says a lot in itself. So what can a person do right now, because they still got to buy the chicken wings, they still got to buy the milk, they still got to go to that job that now the gas prices are so high, and they're bamboozling that with that gas prices, saying it's a problem of the Ukraine and Russia. That's just poppycock right there. But so people are still spending more money by having less money, and then we're like telling them to be economically rich and understanding, but they're telling us to say, hey, Dr. P, I don't got it. I don't have it. So I don't know what you want me to do.
I'm going to look back at my mom and dad.
Yeah.
Not college educated, didn't finish school, but they understood that you don't put all your eggs in one basket. You diversify your risk. And if you have a job that you go to 8 to 5 every day, then you got to have some other source of income and livelihood other than that job. You work, that's great, but you also have to have an alternative source of income. You have to have an offset business, some way to generate income, some way to keep the lights on that doesn't depend on Wall Street.
I think black community has never understood, and I'll say that very definitively, because we've been such spenders. We have not been producers. You cannot be a rich in country as a country of people, or as a culture of people, and spend. You have to produce. And there's a difference between income and wealth. You want to explain the difference for people to understand there's a difference between what income is and what wealth really is.
And I think about that in terms of how I feel.
Right.
I like it when I get a paycheck, but I really like it when I don't have to worry about where the money's coming from because I got a bank account full of money, or I have some real estate that I can always fall back on. It's like being happy or being satisfied. The difference between those two feelings. I can be happy on my birthday that I have another year to look forward to, but I'm satisfied when I can look around and see my family doing well. That's the difference.
I love that. With this midterm election coming up, we know what we're facing here in 2022 because we know what we're facing that's coming. It's coming in 2024. If people don't understand, I'm not going to get into that political debate. It's coming in 2024. That emotional state for people to be afraid, it's tough for them to actually develop an income and also develop wealth. I would like for some of those tips to help them to get out of that fear base and understand what their spiritual base is.
2 years.
Yes.
I want the horizon for planning to be 2 years. And within that 2 years, every week, have a plan
Mm-hmm.
to do something to increase that wealth portion, something that you pay off, something that you sell and take the funds and put it in the bank or put it into some wealth asset. It's an intentional plan. It's something that you do like you take a shower. It's part of your lifestyle when you begin to think about life in terms of wealth and what you don't have to pay, what you own. It's like, if you can remember, it's the last car payment on your car. Hallelujah, Jesus. I'm done with that. And you can drive a paid off car until it falls apart. You've got to stop thinking in terms of glitz and glamour,
Oh,
but in terms of quality of life.
I've been struggling and personally struggling with people to stop spending money on the glitz and glamour to help them feel good and them not being good.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
There is a huge, and I'm not saying don't get your nails done. I've been actually raked over the coals about. So you're telling me I cannot get this? I said no. Okay, I didn't tell you what you can't do, but you gotta understand where you are spending and there's no income.
Mm-hmm.
Don't overspend yourself of what you don't have.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. I'm hoping that people of color saw a revelation during the last COVID situation. You're sitting in your house, cooped up day after day after day, and you're not making any money, and things are not necessarily pleasant around you. I literally was depressed thinking about just being still, not being able to do what I do, not being able to reach out and check on the clients that I had because some of them were out of business.
Right.
It was a tough time. And in some respects, it was more difficult than a recession because it had to do with your health.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a wealth topic if you want to talk about it. And I know you do. Your health is very important. And you got to take care of yourself so you can do the other things. So right now, we should have a huge wake-up call to look at what really matters in life. Who really matters?
I think we did do that during COVID. I think people they were forced to. I mean, there was a lot of things that COVID did. Suicides went up, drinking went up, abuse went up. Things were murders. It just most of the people who know or listen to me, I'm in Maryland, and so Baltimore and its issues, and we know Chicago and its issues, and I'm being a New Yorker, I always keep an eye on my New York NYC and its issues. Those things have increased in so much, but it depleted the black community so much. It decimated it. It completely decimated. It's funny how, it's not funny, it's sad that during COVID, the arrest rate of black men went up. So we had women trying to and holding down all the economic development of the household that they've been put on for the last 50 years.
Yeah, we lost our rhythm. We really did as a black people. Our whole pattern of living from Monday to Sunday was disrupted. And I know for me, I was brought up in a church. My mama and daddy were deacons and trustees, and we were in church every Sunday. Even if we fell asleep, we were there. And so to not be able to go to church, but have to listen to it online, that's not the same for me. That's not as motivating as it is for me. And so that was disruptive to me. And we just really kind of lost our center because we couldn't connect. I haven't seen my brother and sister in almost 3 years.
Yeah.
And they're just down in Indiana, and I've got to get down there. We lost our whole rhythm because of COVID, because it was tangible and it was intangible for us. It was personal.
I agree. I call me and my sister are so close. My brother and I, we're different, but me and my sister and her living in Minneapolis and me being here, it was, I cried. It was okay. I mean, I was just weeping to not seeing my sister. And it's not just seeing my sister, it's being around her. It's being that close and having that coffee, just that conversation 101 face. That really hurt my personal self. And again, if I didn't have certain practices and certain things I do, I would have held that within my body, which when and if COVID did hit, it would have took me out of life. And for me, I always say you got to fight to live, and fighting to live means to do the practices, heal yourself, believe in yourself, trust yourself, have faith in yourself, increase that spiritual awareness, increase that spiritual understanding of who you are, and that will increase your wealth. And then if you can increase that wealth, then that income will increase. I'm not going to keep you on too long, Dr. Cooper, but if people need to reach out to you, I want you to give people how they can get a hold of you and some of the papers they need to probably help them to read to understand this is helpful. This is something they can do specifically with this increased hike, because it's going to go up again. I totally believe that. I totally think we're going to go into another bubble burst because people are now buying homes that are now, in 2008, it was at 5 times. We're at 8, 9 times now of what their homes are worth. So I think it's coming.
And I thank you for that. Thank you for this opportunity. This is an unusual time because, like I said, you got to keep yourself up physically as well as emotionally right now. And so I would say that if you read the Wall Street Journal, you're not going to have a clue what's going on because it's written in a language that we were not introduced to. I try to stay current by looking at Business Week. It's kind of written more on a understandable level. I also certainly read the local economic forecast for Central Ohio. They say that where I live is a reflection of the whole nation. And so I stay current with my local community. Right now, it's about looking at your local community and see what's going on, who the movers and shakers are, what they're talking about, and paying attention to how that trickles down to what you do and your industry. If you work in healthcare, I hear that they're just struggling for people to work. I guess they're willing to pay top dollar for employees right now.
But they're not increasing. They're not increasing the people who are working.
Yeah, I don't know how that's good. It's a confusing time. But let me give you my email address. I'm willing to do specific research in an email response to anybody that reaches out to me. I'd appreciate that because I can find out what's going on in their world. It's iris.cooper@att.net. And I also have the radio show on Saturdays called The Window. And we talk about everything. We talk about what we see on TV and what we don't understand. We talk about art. We talk about business. We talk about family life. We're looking through the window of 2022 from the Black community and from 2 Black women trying to understand where we're going. So please join us, 1580 thepraise.com on Saturdays at noon Eastern time. And this week, we're going to talk about adoption of Black children.
There it is. Because we are not, and I understand, I talk to Black people and people and talk about this Roe v. Wade and adoption. And, it's like people have to understand what the justice did and the words they had used. they're going to roll back a lot of legal stuff that has happened in the last 40 years. People are not understanding what the justices just did. This has nothing to do about pro-life against life. The language that the justices use is the scariest thing I've ever read in my life.
It's the devil. It's the devil. It's like finding a word that will give everybody cancer. And I don't know how they came up with that tactic.
Woo!
But it opens the door to evil in all forms at all times. And folks, let me tell you, when evil comes to the neighborhood, it knocks on our door first. Remember that.
And you cannot be combative only in anger. Because ignorance is what's going to get you killed. I'll say it again. You cannot be combative in anger because ignorance is what gets you killed. So do your reading, people. I understand when you say, Dr. P, I don't have the time. Please, if you got time to go on that YouTube and scroll, you have time to read because words matter.
And do like my daddy did. He read on the toilet. I couldn't get my daddy to come out of the bathroom. He would lock himself in there reading on the toilet. Yeah. We had one bathroom, Paul, one. Just a little humor, but that's where we did our reading.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
From a woman's perspective, and this is intentional reason why I'm asking this, is the state of Black America, do you feel it's falling on your shoulders? Or do you feel that the Black men are not holding up their part?
Oh, I was hoping that we didn't get into gender, Paul. Come on. Let me start with my thesis. I love Black men. All right. I love Black men. And my son, I went into depression when he left and moved to Indianapolis. There's a quality about Black men that we cannot replace. We cannot duplicate that security that we feel when there's a Black man in the house and is willing to say, I'm here for you.
And I want to interject. The reason why I asked, because I actually been very hostile on Black men for not doing enough on teaching and mentoring young Black men to be better. So I think we missed that boat completely.
Yeah. And it happens in divorce. Somehow the young Black boy that grows into adolescent and a teenager misses some very important lessons from his father if the father is absent. And all I can say is if you've got children, Black guys, go get them. Take them out, spend time with them. It's important. There are lessons that I can't teach. I can't teach them that, sons need, and they need to get it from their dads. And my dad died before my son really got to know him. So yeah, it's a problem, and we don't have an answer yet.
Well, I hope we continue this conversation another time later. And thank you, Dr. Iris Cooper, very much for visiting with me. And we'll visit again. I know you're a busy woman. I know you do a lot of writing and education. Thank you so much, so very much out of your time to visit with us and to give this information, to give people a better understanding that we are headed for an issue, but we have to get better at being we. We have to get better at being a we.
Will you promise me something, Dr. P?
Yes, ma'am.
Will you be a guest on my show for Father's Day?
I absolutely will.
Okay. We're going to start recording ahead of time, and we also have an opportunity to take it from radio to actual visual now.
Okay.
So, but I will be in touch with you. God bless you. God bless your audience. Take care of yourself. And for all the mothers out there, happy Mother's Day.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone, for listening to Bridges Live. I'm Dr. Paul Dyer, and we will be in and always have a conversation all the time. You can always check us out on any podcast channel you want. Just put in Bridges Live with Dr. Paul Dyer, and everything will pop up. Thank you, Dr. Cooper.
All righty.